am very grateful to all who have come today to give your views and to share your views and to get to know some of the car washers. I'm very grateful to Bill Carbonell, the WCA Western Car Wash Association. That's very helpful to have you here. But if you're still here, I do have a question. You probably are aware of the Clean Car Wash Agreement. And if you are aware of it, are there any points or principles in that agreement that you think are not worthy of support? Or do you think that those general principles are ones that could be embraced by the association?
Well, I would have to say that I think the principles in general are valid principles that all businesses should follow. Shall we force a business that's already being intrusive with other government entities to sign such agreement? I would have to say no. I think that there are sufficient laws on the books currently through the DSLE, other departments, the EDD, to help enforce those laws. But anything right now with this economy that we're facing that's going to be more intrusive or more of a financial impact to the car wash industry would be much, much unfortunate for the workers too. I mean, I will sit here and stand before you and tell you I am one of those people that I was referring to. I had a full-service car wash with 70 employees. I sold it. And I just opened up another car wash, and I have 7 employees because the labor issues are just so tremendous. And I love my employees. But it's just a difficult, difficult business to be in. And I would tell you emphatically that the economic scale is just not there currently for certain financial impacts that can be placed on these car washes.
I really appreciate your coming here and giving your testimony, but it focused a lot on the wage issues. And I just want to ask you a question about some of these occupational safety and health issues that I also view as critical here. Does the WCA have any standards or practices in relation to practices around the use of these chemicals or the kind of training or equipment that ought to be provided, because that wasn't covered by your
Well,
testimony?
we don't have standards per se because we represent 12 states. So what we do is we hold educational seminars on a consistent basis, and we invite state representatives to educate our members as to safety standards. We just had OSHA, I think it was 2 years ago, come and make a presentation. We'll do that at our regional convention, typically in Las Vegas, but we also have been doing some smaller workshops statewide, and we plan on doing so again.
And just one more, which is, you mentioned how many members you have, but I'm wondering what proportion of car washes are not part of your association?
Well, let's see. I think the literature that you have indicate there are 1,500 car washes in California, and we have 500 members in California. And not all members are conveyor. There could be some self-serve car washes too.
Okay. We have another question. Councilman Reyes.
Yes, first, thank you for being here. As an association, has there been any type of protocol as to how the association polices itself? Has there been any standards that have been set, knowing that it impacts the whole industry? Has there been any evidence of that type of activity in which they monitor each other?
Well, I think, as I mentioned in my statement, the fact that these sweeps that have taken place statewide, which have caught hundreds and hundreds of violators, a very, very small fraction are our members. And that's because of our education. Again, we don't have specific standards, and the problem with specific standards, we have some generic standards, but every locality has specific rules and regulations, so when you start to break it down to the umpteenth degree, it's very, very difficult to cover all of your standards, and that's why we have the regional meetings to help the state of California come in and educate our members as to what those standards are.
And Jackie, you've got another question?
Yes, first I want to acknowledge the WCA's role in the legislation that I worked on a few years ago, and to say that they were very helpful, and it was a good give and take, I felt. The agreement, though, that I understand, this Clean Car Wash agreement, I believe is really limited to following labor and health and safety standards. Are you thinking that it does more than that?
Well, I believe there's also some information there opening up your books to a third party, and I don't think you'll find a businessman in the United States that would be willing to do that, and it has nothing to do with being secretive. It has to do with your own rights as a businessman and not wanting to be intruded upon.
Okay. So But the question then would be is how would it be enforced if you can't verify? Because one of the things we heard in testimony in Sacramento, I think maybe you were even there, is that people have a set of books that say they have 11 employees, but really 25 people work there.
And
So-
that's why we have the EDD.
Well, but
And-
we
and-
all
and-
know
and-
how many people they have to investigate. That's the problem. The problem is they don't, I agree with you in principle.
Sure.
That it should be the enforcement agencies that currently exist. But in principle is one thing, in reality is another. They've been all really cut in terms of who can go out and investigate. In fact, they do sweeps instead of the investigation, which from my point of view is sort of backwards. I'd rather have enforcement so that people come up and follow the law rather than collect fines for them not following it.
No, absolutely. And I want everybody to know that you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah, I do know that.
It's an unfair business, you know, when the guy's charging
know.
$8 for a car wash and you know that he can't afford to do that unless he's not paying his wages correctly.
Right, right.
And so, but however, there is a vast majority of car wash operators in the state of California that are playing by the rules, and that's who I represent.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Great, I believe we have one more question for you, Kent.
I wanted to also thank you for joining us at today's hearing. Mr. Carbonell, of the 1,000 members of the WCA in the western states, is there a single one that has a collective bargaining agreement with the employees? And if there is not, why is that?
There is one, and that is in the city of San Francisco.
One only of 1,000. I've had the opportunity to meet with literally dozens and dozens of,
That I'm aware of.
right, but I've had the opportunity to meet with literally dozens of car wash workers here in Los Angeles who have strongly expressed their interest in forming and joining a worker organization that would represent their collective interests. And yet, from my understanding, there's been fierce resistance from many of those employers from allowing them the basic right guaranteed under the law to form and join unions. So I was interested in your thoughts of the 1,000 members of the WCA. Why is it that perhaps only one has a collective bargaining agreement with your employees?
Well, that one was done in 1958, and the reason was that entire area of the city of San Francisco was unionized, and he had no choice when he built it. And that was the reason why he was unionized, to be quite frank with you. As far as currently, you have to understand that this is something that's just started to gain traction. So as an association, we've never experienced this before. There's never really been a push for unionization as far as I can remember, and I've been in this industry for 15 years.
And,
So this
and
is- this is
as
relatively
the
new.
president of the WCA, though, would you uphold the right of workers within your industry to form and join unions? And would you advise your members to respect the rule of law with regard to the right to organize?
That is a law that is in the books, and all of our members are obviously obligated to follow those rules and regulations.
But would you advise your members to respect the rule of law and to allow the workers, if they choose, to form and join a union?
I'm not in the advisorial position to do so. I'm just a poster boy for car washes.
Thank you.